All right. Hello. How are you doing? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I'm Owen. Thanks for stopping in. And today we're going to talk about, like in this new normal, what does Friday look like? How do we celebrate Friday, right? I'll tell you for me, right? I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan of Friday. As a kid, our family on Friday nights would go out to dinner, and I looked forward to this all week. A lot of the time, we would go for the best ribs you could ever get at Emil Villa's Hickory Pit up in Walnut Creek, and we'd go most Fridays. And I would really, really look forward to that as a kid growing up. When I got a little older here in LA and West Hollywood, right? The nightlife is awesome on the weekends. It's so good. So for a long time, we had our epic Fridays, me and my friends, and we'd just go tear it up. We'd go have fun, just blow off all the steam from the week, party, throw down. Like it was great, and I looked forward to that during the weeks as well, right? I was really looking forward to Friday and go out and have our epic Fridays. And these days, most of the time, obviously not now, but a lot of times I'll go play cards on a Friday night. I'll go play in a magic tournament, and I really look forward to that as well, right? So there's a lot of awesome stuff that happens on Fridays. But what is the thing that makes Friday the most special? Like why do we focus on Friday, right? Because it means that the week is over. It means that it's time to relax. There's some freedom. If you've got time to do what you didn't have to do, during the week, like that, now we can, right? There's a lot of pressure off from going to work. There's a lot of, there's not a lot of stuff that we have to do sometimes. And really, at the end of the day, it means that we've got a couple days to really do what it is that we really want to do. Now, that is the craziest thing about Fridays, right? Is we're happy about them because we finally get 2 days out of the 7 days a week to do what it was that we wanted to do. Which means that we actually probably aren't that aligned during the rest of the week if we need this one moment on Friday to give us that freedom that we wanted. Gary Vaynerchuk says, and I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. He, has an edge to him for sure. But he says that if you are living for weekends and vacation, then your life is broken. If you're living for weekends and vacation, then your life is broken. When I first heard that, I couldn't believe it. Fortunately, I had been out on my own for a bit, so I started to understand. But it's kind of a crazy thought when you think about it, right? Because most of us working in a 9 to 5 situation, most of us working during the week, like that's just how life is, right? It's just how life was, right? I don't know if you've seen Downton Abbey. This is an old Downton Abbey quote, but Maggie Smith's character as the old Dowager Countess in one of the very first episodes of the whole show. Very, very rich woman with, nobility in England. Nothing else to do except just be rich. And someone mentions the weekend at the dinner table. And her response is, what's a weekend? What's a weekend, right? Like she doesn't even know what a weekend is because it doesn't factor into her life. She doesn't schedule out her week as working 5 days a week, and then there is a weekend and a Friday to kick off that weekend, right? Now, this is a bit of a preposterous example, right? And I think even at the time, some people were like, well, come on, of course you would know what a weekend was. But that's the idea, right? Somebody who isn't doing work all the time or working on this weekday schedule, it doesn't exist for everybody. It existed for me when I was in the 9 to 5, and it may very likely existed for you as well, and maybe it still does, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't, right? When I left the 9 to 5 and I started working from my home and sort of setting my own schedule, I started to realize that the whole concept of Friday didn't apply to me as much any longer. Like I would know it was Friday, right? And I would know that the rest of the world was having this day where things were starting to slow down, but it wasn't necessarily the same way for me. Like I was getting up at, going to be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, or going into an office at 9 o'clock on a Monday, right? I could do my stuff whenever I needed to. I didn't have to be in an office anytime. And just that whole removing the aspect of having to be in one physical location during specific times during the week, that's what made Friday for me. I didn't have to go into that place. But now that I wasn't stuck in that situation, right, the whole concept of Friday started to change. It started to change. So maybe, maybe this is also happening for you. Maybe you are noticing a change as well. Because if you have a lot more free time on your hand, like if you are working from home, and you've still got a job, right? But you're working from home, you are not going into that office any longer. And I'd be curious to know how your interactions have changed with the people in your work. Do you sort of do more Zoom calls and focus your work around those times that you're doing Zoom calls? Do you block out your day? Are you available for a certain number of hours? Do you set those hours now? Right? All of this is changing this whole, I'll go back, and I'm sure that you don't have your boss walking by your front door or your window of your house every once in a while to check in and see if you're doing what you're doing, or to check in, or someone coming in to bug you for something, right? That's probably not happening any longer while you're not going into an office. So I wonder, how are you feeling about Fridays right now, right? And especially if you have more free time on your hands, either you can't do your job, or you lost your job, or the requirements of your job have lessened, like you have more free time to do this, then I wonder, if you feel like I did when I wasn't jamming all of my days with hours work in an office. The whole concept of Friday started to release for me. Now, this was a little unsettling to happen, right? Because I love my Fridays. I just told you at the beginning, right? I love Fridays. And now here I'm starting to realize, oh my gosh, this isn't exactly real. And I'm not feeling the same way any longer. So I really went to think about, what is it about Friday? What is it about being Friday that I liked the most, and that I could still have? And I realized that for me it really was about the freedom. It was about the ability to enjoy. It was about the time to give myself permission to connect with my passions, the things that made me happy, to things I got really excited about moving forward. So here's what basically I recommend now. So if you are in this situation where the Friday is not so much the same as it used to be for you, right? Or this may be the first Friday that you haven't been in at work, and it's a little unsettling. So here's the deal. You can feel like Friday whenever you want. You don't have to wait for Friday. The only reason that we ever had to wait for Friday was because of this set system of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then 2 days off as a weekend. And for those days, you are spending hours and hours and hours and hours in a physical location. But that's not really happening anymore, and that is unlikely to come back. I am already hearing stories from even some of the cutting edge marketers that I listen to. Russell Brunson actually was talking about this on his podcast not too long ago. But here's someone who has not been super focused on offices. Like his whole business is around ClickFunnels, helping other people start online businesses, but they still had an office space. But now everyone's getting so used to working remotely and how that's working so well. I mean, he's going to cut out his office space, right? Even the people who were low on office space to begin with are finding ways to cut out their office space. So the whole idea of going into an office again for extended periods of time during the week is unlikely to come back in a major way, mostly because it's also very expensive for employers to do and companies to do. And if that's an expense they can remove, they probably will. So what's happening right now, don't call it the new normal for no reason, right? It's not a flash in the pan. It's very likely to happen. So know that now, and really always, but especially now, you don't have to wait for Friday to feel free, to feel awesome, like you got time to do what it is that you want to do, right? You can do it anytime you want. Well, how do you do that? You spend your time doing what we talked about before. You spend your time moving forward your passion, moving your passion forward, or finding out what your passion is. The whole idea of when you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. If you don't see the rest of your week as work, then what does Friday really mean? Friday is just another day, right? So do what you love. Like there is no time to waste in getting connected with what it is that you love to do and to do it. Okay? Now is the perfect time. This is sort of the gift of what's happening right now. And I get that might rub some of you the wrong way when I say that. But there really is a gift here, right? Like this message that I'm sharing with you about like how you can have Friday all the time was just as true 3 weeks ago as it is today. But a lot of people aren't really willing to hear it because they're comfortable in where they were and the system is working. But now that everything's been turned up over on its head and there's so much, confusion and things are changing so fast in the way that we work and the way that we do business and the way that we interact with each other, we all have this perfect time right now to realize the truth that we have permission to do what it is that we want to do. You have permission to work on your passion and to move that forward. So spend your days doing that and you won't work a day in your life, right? Friday, every day will be Friday to you. Every day might even be Saturday to you, right, at that point. How amazing would that be? And the last thing is take your rest regularly. Put it in every day. Put it in a daily routine. We spoke in another video about the importance of having routine in your day. This was about how to relax and still feel productive, right? When you put a routine in, then you get little things done every single day, and this incremental progress really adds up. Well, progress is the same thing as this rest. If you have incremental rest factored into your days, then you're not going to need to just completely unwind for 2 days after going hard for another 5. You don't need to do that, right? What are ways that you can put your rest into every single day, even when things are going on? 20 minutes of meditation every day is a great way to start. Getting some exercise. Now is as good a time as any to be getting some exercise. Go outside, take a walk. Wear your mask, social distance, obviously, but go get some air. Go take some time to yourself. And carve out time every single day to do this for yourself so that you don't get close to this burnout process, so that you don't need a Friday, so you don't get to the end of several days just like, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to throw my hands up. Take a little bit every day. Do it for you. Do it for you. You are allowed to do this. You have always been allowed to do this. And any misconceptions that you might have had before that you did not have control over your time, obviously they are completely washed away now. You have complete control over what you want to do with your time and how you want to live your life. All right? So don't wait for Friday to have Friday. Don't wait for Friday to have that feeling of freedom, that feeling of joy, that feeling of passion that you are working on something that you love, that you are doing something that you love, that you are happy to be alive on this planet Earth this very day. Okay? Spend your time doing what you love. Spend your time doing what you love all the time, and factor in your rest in increments every single day. Now, this doesn't mean that once you've done this, you can't still go do something fun every particular Friday. Because the fact of the matter is, Friday will still exist in the way that it did in some way, shape, or form. And it'll still be a fun night to go out and what have you. But you will know that while everybody else is just finally decompressing, you have always been on this Zen cloud, completely balanced. It's been Friday for you for many, many days. So, how are you spending this Friday? What are you going to do on this Friday, right? It's tricky because we can't go out, can't really hang out with other people. But I see a lot of people doing Zoom happy hours and things like that, and I'm probably going to get on and play some cards online a little bit myself. So tell me what you're up to. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear how this is going for you. I would love to hear your experiences. I would love for you to share. This is a tough moment for all of us. This is very, very bizarre. No one knows what's going on a lot of times. So let's be in it together. One place that we can do this and be in it together join our Abundance Hackers group on Facebook. Just search Abundance Hackers on Facebook, or I'll put a link here in the chat. And once again, these are live videos, so I'd be happy to answer your questions. I'd love to chat with you. We had some folks here yesterday. Come on in, join the conversation. I'd love to hear what's going on with you. And I'll just keep telling you how I'm moving forward in all of this process and what I can do. So thank you so much again. Have an excellent weekend, but I will see you here again tomorrow. So just any other day, right? Peace out. Thank God it's Friday. Have an excellent Friday. I'll talk to you again really, really soon.